You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
We present Interview with the Next Prime Minister by John Fryer with Katie Williams and Duncan Smith.
Charles, the manuscript will be with you on Thursday as we agreed. Oh, very well, as I agreed. You're worrying unnecessarily. The scratching and scribbling was completed several months ago. Only the final chapter is left. Now, Charles, that's hardly the attitude now, is it? I can hardly have written the final days in Downing Street before I left, could I? It was quite an achievement, I thought, to find the time to speak to that friend of yours who has made several worthwhile contributions to the chapters. Yes, Charles, but I prefer contribution to ghostwriter. Anyway, the introduction is all my own. It's just the thickness, the filling, if you like. What was his name? Jeremy. Yes, Jeremy. He certainly contributed with the layout of the words. But as you said, Charles, the plot was all my doing. Except for the ending. What? Oh, nothing, Charles. I was just thinking out loud, as we all have a tendency to do from time to time. Now, don't worry, Charles. The final couple of pages will only be my pontificating about the future of the country. Things I would have liked to have done. Moments of achievements. People from both the world stage and private citizens that impressed me. That sort of thing. The personal touch. Times to remember. Something like that. I'll then have the whole caboodle couriered over to you. I can't say fairer than that, now can I, Charles? I'll even pay the driver myself. Sign his docket. You never know. It might be worth something in the future. No, Charles, I keep telling you, it's all there. There's nothing left out. Oh, Charles, I have to go. I have a visitor. No, Charles, not another publishing company. Good Lord, Charles, there are times when your level of paranoia would equal that of, well, a politician. Goodbye, Charles, goodbye. Yes?
Miss Wilson is here to see you.
Send her in, please. Miss Wilson, thank you very much for coming.
Mr. Linstead, sir.
Would you like a drink?
Thank you.
What would you like? Tea, coffee, something stronger? The hard stuff, as people say?
I'll have whatever you're having.
Well, I'm not thirsty.
Then neither am I.
You're sure?
Yes.
Because it's no trouble. Margaret outside can do wonders with a tea bag or even a jar of instant coffee. I'm sure she could even rustle up chocolate biscuits if you'd like.
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, very well. Perhaps later.
How are you finding retirement, Mr. Linstead?
I'm hardly retired. At least not yet.
May I ask what your plans are?
I've done a lot of writing for the lecture circuit, you understand. Oh, yes, that's where the money is. My diary is quite full for the next 2 years. I've even come to wonder if the only reason for holding public office is to talk about it afterwards.
Right.
I'm giving a lecture tonight, in fact.
Oh?
Well, it's been in the diary for months.
What are you going to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. I'll probably just make something up. One does from time to time. You have to in my game. When I was a player.
I see.
I just wanted to say how sorry I was to hear about your predecessor, Jimmy McCann. I knew him, you see, in the briefings, of course. But I also met him on numerous occasions. The odd function...
At number 10?
Yes. I asked him along, partly to cover the events, but also for the pleasure of his company. He was always witty. We got on famously. At first, anyway. I respected his position and the position the paper took.
Over your resignation?
Exactly. I know that he, as I'm sure you, have to answer to certain corporate functionaries, but I never held that against him, or any of the reporters in your paper, personally responsible for the end result. I knew he had to follow a certain line of attack. He was, after all, approaching middle age. The days of being rebellious with one's employer were, well, behind him. If our positions had been reversed, no doubt I, too, would have written some of the pieces that he was credited with. Never mind. Water under the bridge. Unimportant now. The past and best left in the past. Best left forgotten.
I didn't know Mr. McCann very well.
Oh?
I've not been on the political desk for very long.
Really?
Yes.
May I ask what you did before? I'm sorry, I didn't put that particularly well. What I meant was...
What did I write before? Have I written anything of value? Am I a serious journalist? Why haven't they sent someone with more weight? Am I a reflection of the fact that you are no longer the leader of this country? Are you now a figure of history?
The world moves on.
But you were the leader.
They come and go.
You did win an election.
So have others.
You dominated the headlines.
And those headlines weren't very complimentary, were they?
There was a suggestion.
That I was
Yes,
not the fool shilling?
there was a rumour. You did leave rather suddenly. You had about a year to go. If you had wanted to, that is.
And what were you before today?
Well, I
I can take it.
was on the fashion desk.
So, they sent me an ex-fashion columnist.
Actually, I was the assistant to the fashion columnist.
It could have been worse, I suppose.
Yes,
You could have been the celebrity columnist.
there were no openings on that desk.
Ah, right.
But I always wanted to work on the political desk.
Well, that's a start.
I mean, that's where the important things are discussed, aren't they?
On the fashion desk?
No, I meant in politics.
I would agree.
The other things, fashion, celebrity, C-listers falling out of taxis at 3 in the morning, well, that's all rubbish, isn't it? I mean, who cares if some drunken has-been throws up on the pavement outside a London nightclub, or decides to tell all about the night they shagged someone slightly less famous than themselves? Who's interested in all that?
Some might say the newspapers.
That's true, but only because it's easy. Pages of sex, sleaze, and the stars in the heavens. It's just to stop people from thinking when you think about it.
You're certainly different from the average journalist that I've encountered over my years.
And you seem more
Yes?
human.
Human. Now there's a thought.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult you. I'm not quite sure what to call you. I mean, ex-presidents keep their titles. What should I call you, ex-prime minister?
Joseph. Uncle Joe was a favourite of the right for a while, if you remember. Mr. Linstead is an idea, but that always reminds me of my father. I did for a while quite enjoy the term of the wondrous one, but it never caught on, sadly.
I could see that in the Commons. Would the right and honourable wondrous gentleman...
Please come down from his high horse and join the rest of the human race.
I didn't mean that either.
Oh, it's all right. I'm used to the idea that half the people think I'm the devil incarnate, and the other half think I'm not devil incarnate enough.
Sorry?
The right wing, the left wing, and the extremists of both.
I see.
Look, I'm just pleased they sent me anybody. I was in politics for a very long time, and I've absolutely no illusions as to how it all works. You leave office, and 10 minutes, 5 minutes before you're even out of the door, your power and influence has already moved on to the next guy. Power is a fickle mistress. Upset her, and she will leave you very quickly.
But in this case, it was you that left politics, not the other way round.
I didn't lose an election, if that's what you're alluding to.
People have never stopped wondering why you left number 10. I'm sorry, but in the past, most of those that lived there would usually rather lose body parts than give up the thrill of power.
Is that so?
It's what one hears.
Then it must be a fact.
Right.
Please don't take me seriously. I don't, and I'm not that sure that large parts of my party ever did. But every now and then one needs to let off steam, as it were.
But you are not part of that world anymore.
But I'm still part of the world. In fact, a much larger world.
Is there a world outside of politics?
Oh, yes. No.
You thought it would be another Jimmy McCann type that would come along today.
I suppose I did.
Is that a problem?
A problem? In what way?
I thought you might have preferred someone
Male?
older.
No.
You knew it was going to be me, didn't you?
You're interested in politics, you say?
I am.
How many MPs sit in the House of Commons?
In your day, 645. In the future, who knows?
Who indeed? What was the size of my majority?
When you became Prime Minister, it was 76.
And when I left office?
71.
Very good.
You lost 5 by-elections over 4 years.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
I'm sorry, but it is a matter of public record.
Yes, I know. Your paper glorified in each defeat I suffered. I'm not complaining, by the way. I know the way the press is today, and I did enjoy your little performance of moral indignation.
I beg your pardon?
Why is the media so interested in drunken celebrities falling out of their cars with a waiting photographer in tow? I was in politics for 20 years, young lady. I can recognize a performance when I see one. The press likes drunken C-list celebs falling out of their cars because we like to see other people having a bad time of it. We like to see the half-closed eyes of some drugged-up nobody looking a fool because it makes us all feel good about our pointless little lives. That is why your profession does what it does, because we, the readers, like to see others fall, and preferably from a great height. Don't try to kid a kidder.
Shall I leave?
Good Lord, no. Why ever would you want to do that? No, let's just get to know each other first. If you then still wish to depart, I won't stop you. Shall we have a real drink?
What's real?
Whiskey, what else?
Pour away.
A habit left over from my number 10 days. The doctor doesn't agree, of course. Said I should drink mineral water or some such thing. Waste of time. If you're going to have a drink, then have a drink. It's not as if we're all not going to die, is it? Go out with a bang. That's what I always say. Of course, I didn't say that when I met the Russian Premier to discuss nuclear proliferation. You never know. We might have got an agreement if I had. Mud in your eye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a bit
What?
sparse in here.
I always tried to keep a clear desk, even when I was in Downing Street, to stop things from getting on top of me.
Didn't work though, did it?
What?
I mean, in the end.
Is that what they say?
Who are they?
Now, that's a very good question.
You didn't answer my question.
Mary Helen Wilson, born 1979, 3rd of February, star sign Aquarius, studied at Manchester University, married to Tony for 2 years. No children, but mother and father still alive, both now living in Cyprus, on the Greek side of the island. You live now in Clerkenwell, no cat or dog. Does that answer your question?
You're not Prime Minister anymore.
But one does love so to show off.
And what is my shoe size?
6. Just guessing, I don't know. What is your shoe size?
6.
Now you'll never know if I was making up my show of ignorance about your feet or not.
And forgive me, but you don't know everything.
Oh?
They're 7s.
I wonder.
Mr. Linstead.
Joe, please.
Joe, what am I doing here?
Drinking my whiskey.
You know what I mean.
Are you familiar with industrial architecture of the late 19th century?
No.
It's fascinating.
Is it?
You see, this fellow used to knock down old chimneys from the time of the Industrial Revolution. He'd start by knocking out, about 1/3 of the bricks at the bottom of this chimney, putting in old railway sleepers to support the weight, and then packing it with old cardboard boxes and newspapers and all sorts of rubbish. Are you following me?
I get the idea.
Yes, sorry, probably before your time. Anyway, once it was full of all this stuff, he'd soak the whole thing with paraffin and then with great ceremony set fire to it. Are you still with me?
Just about.
Now here is the interesting thing. As the fire consumed the paper, cardboard and the railway sleepers, the edifice would start to wobble. No, it's true, I tell you no lies. The whole thing that had stood there, strong, true, powerful against all that Mother Nature had thrown against it for perhaps 100 years or so, would actually begin to appear unstable. Crowds would watch transfixed, like, what are those animals that become hypnotized in car headlights?
Rabbits?
Exactly, rabbits. And then as more and more of the base began to falter, the whole structure would start to, almost shake. Like a shimmer would run through the bricks and mortar. But still the people watched, drawn in by the whole spectacle. Slowly it starts to topple, then with more and more speed. You understand?
I think so.
Because here's the thing, right? The steeplejack never brought even one of those chimneys crashing down. Not one. But he began a process, unseen at the beginning, which would inevitably bring the whole edifice crashing to its knees. That was just something I saw on the TV.
Right.
Did you know that it was the banks that were the first institutions, not governments, to employ the use of spies?
Well...
Oh, yes. They wanted to be sure that those they lent money to had, the means to pay them back. Banks don't gamble, you see. They only bet on sure things.
Some might say that the credit crunch proves that they don't always get it right.
Oh, no, Miss Wilson. The credit crunch proves that they knew exactly what they were doing. Do you know what is scheduled for the 23rd of next month?
No.
That, providing that I finish the final pages, will be the release date of my biography. 800 pages of blistering accounts and devastating details of my time in 10 Downing Street. The highs, the lows, the victories and the defeats, all in nauseating detail. The whole kiss and tell of the last 4 tumultuous years. The cabinet meetings, the sessions at PMQs, the foreign dignitaries. Did that French diplomat really pour a jug of water over the head of the German ambassador? All that sort of thing. Page after page of revelation and information, most of it totally regurgitated and already known within the mainstream public domain. I don't even need the money. It's simply because it was something I said I would do, never thinking that anyone would care 10 minutes after I said goodbye to the Queen. And please don't ask me what she's really like. I don't know.